Father's Day was on a Sunday, but Saturday we definitely had a very entertaining week in sports, you can say, especially Saturday with the Korean Zombie versus Dan Ing or Ing.
Dan Ige. 50K. 50K
Yeah, 50K Ige, man. You gotta get that man some respect.
Amen. Amen. Respect, whatever you want to call it.
He said his name wrong.
He said his name completely wrong. Like,
so, hey, whatever. Anyways.
It's like nah. Korean Zombie versus Danny Ige in the UFC fight night. So did you guys get a chance to capture it? Because I had a chance to watch the fight. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
So, I was just going to say this real quick. To the listeners, this weekend, I didn't catch the fight. I'm going to watch the fight after the podcast is over because, you know, it's a big fight for the featherweight division. But I know who won. And just my quick take, because I have the least take since I didn't watch the fight, is I think Korean Zombie should now fight Max Holloway or get his rematch with Yair Rodriguez. That's just it. You guys fill the listeners in and do what you do best, which is nothing. It's like I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
I got a chance to watch the fight. It was an interesting matchup. I was curious to see, you know, Korean Zombie do his thing. I think he's one of my favorite fighters to watch in the featherweight division. And, you know, like I was curious to see as, you know, how Dan Ige would do with him, seeing as he's trying to, you know, break in the top 5. And Dan Ige, like towards the end of the fight, I would say he started to kind of get it together and like was like kind of popping him with some strong punches. Towards the beginning of the fight, Korean Zombie looked really smooth. He looked really like, you know, fluid in there, just, you know, popping him with a few shots and just kind of chilling. And when he took him down, he wasn't really like struggling. He just caught him like at some good, you know, level changes. And they were saying that throughout the broadcast, you know, whatnot last night. But it was like, it was interesting because when he got him to the ground, he had a body triangle on him and he would just kept on switching feet, going back and forth. And the fight didn't really, on the ground, you could just tell that Dan Ige just didn't have much of an answer for what he was being given. But like that being said, though, I don't think this is like the worst loss for Dan Ige. He was just bested last night and it is what it is. You know, shit happens.
I salute him in his efforts. It didn't, to me, from what I watched of the fight, he was kind of being dominated throughout most of the fight by Korean Zombie. I'm not going to say he's some slouch, but at the end of the day, I think for a couple of years now, we've been speaking about, or been keeping our eyes on Korean Zombie in terms of like his trajectory, in terms of his career. He has had moments before in his career where we've seen performances like this or even more devastating. When it comes to this fight overall, I was impressed for the most part, just in terms of how he was able to control the fight for the most part against Dan Ige. I mean, there's not much really to be said outside of that for me. I do think he should either fight Max or have another fight after that. So, yeah, I mean, that's really it. I mean, there's not much to really break down because to me, it was just he kind of controlled the fight for the most part. So it's kind of like at this point, I just rather see coming at what his next challenger looks like for him.
Was there anything else on the card worth mentioning, guys?
Yeah.
Matt Brown
knocked the shit out of Diego Lima. That shit looked crazy. Like,
yes.
I was like, oh, like, and he said he just turned 40 recently. That was wild. There's this other dude named, I think they call him the Stinger. He was in there like hitting this dude with all types of strikes and shit. Got her finish in the first round. Last night's card was actually all right. Like there's some, like the first 3 fights I think were finishes, if I'm not mistaken. Marlon Cheeto Vera, he picked up a win, and like in the second and third round, he really started to pick it up. In the co-main, they had
Olenek.
Yeah, thank you. I think the guy he beat, and I honestly can't remember his name at the moment in time, but like I think the guy he beat, he to me, he wasn't very impressive in his win, you know, but he did get the win, so shouts out to him, I guess. But to me, I would need to see him fight more.
So Olenek won or he lost?
He lost.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm surprised because I actually fell asleep like as that fight was like coming close to an end.
It looked like he was winning, didn't it?
Yeah, because it even though, now granted, from what I watched of the fight, what I remember from watching of the fight, Oleinik, he was still having a hard time. He was more of an aggressor in the fight. He was more of the aggressor in the fight, but at the same time, his takedowns weren't really working, and he was having a hard time with like his punches because he was throwing on his feet. He was really trying to throw a lot of haymakers. He wasn't really trying to sit there and like really like it wasn't like he was really trying to squabble with him. It was kind of like, yo, I'm trying to hit you with something. And he was doing switches, body changing of going from the head to the body. But I'm surprised because even though he wasn't as effective as some would want him to be, he was still the person putting the aggression in the fight. Now, shout outs to the dude, because he definitely was, his opponent was definitely stuffing the takedowns, getting out of certain clinches earlier in the fight. So
Sergey Spivak is his name. And I'm going to rewatch that fight because, like, just because you're the aggressor doesn't always necessarily mean you're winning and whatever. And I thought he was, like, controlling the pace of the fight, hitting the takedowns, didn't necessarily do much with them. Towards the end of the fight, you could see he was definitely, just tired. Yeah. But, I mean, I'm gonna give the fight another watch and see as to what I think.
Yeah, I'll have to watch it again. I was surprised. I'm surprised that he lost. I honestly thought he would have won because he won the first round. So I'm guessing the second round, I guess the second and third round, they're saying he lost. Huh? I mean, I'll have to rewatch it similar.
Also, one more thing before we get off the card, there was a fight on the undercard. Virna Jandiroba, she had a fight where she pulled an arm bar on her opponent and was really stretching her arm, and like towards the second round you could see that she just couldn't lift her arm up. Like apparently her arm was dislocated in the fight. Like she could not defend herself. She's in there with her right hand, but her arm was completely done. It was visible. Like you could see that she was not defending herself.
Like Jamal Hill?
Similar.
So it was like flopping around?
It wasn't flopping around, but it was like she held it, like you could see she couldn't put her arm up like this.
She didn't have full range of motion.
Exactly.
Gotcha. Jeez. Oh, I mean, hopefully she was. Is there any update in terms of like medically her condition?
I don't know.
Medical condition.
I hope she's all right though. It didn't look good.